Hey guys, today I'm going to answer this question. It goes, hi, sorry for the slightly off-topic question, but in some videos you said you had panic attack, Kundalini anxiety mixture, and it really sounded like what I might have up until now. Can I ask how it started and what might have contributed to the start of it, if that's not too private? And there's more, but I'll start there. I don't know. I think we're kind of brought into this life to clear fear. Like if there's... I didn't think about anything at all about what I was going to say in this video, so it's interesting it's just going here. Yeah, I think maybe the main reason we're here waking up is we're waking up out of fear into love, into peace. We're waking up from this state of force and I don't know, whatever, to like this more surrendered, at ease state, right? And I think we all came into these bodies and inherited a certain amount of fear. So I can remember when I was really, really little, I'd like wake up out of bed and like have such intense nightmares, and I would be so insanely afraid of the dark. I would just like jump out of bed and run into walls. It's like try to run into my parents' room when I was like really little. And I remember I'd be shooting hoops outside by myself, and the ball would like kick off the cement in a certain way and just go flying out into the desert in the pitch dark. And I was always so scared to go in the dark by myself. I would feel like I would see things. I would feel like I would hear voices. I felt like the darkness was just so terrorizing, and I would do anything to avoid darkness as a little kid. And I was even scared of the dark pretty late in life, if I'm being honest. And every now and then I'll still be a little scared. Like I camp a lot, so I'll go out and it'll be pitch dark and be in the mountains or something. And I'll be like, there will be this thought, what if a mountain lion like jumps on me? So it's not really like the darkness I'm scared of. And it's just kind of a funny thing. It's more like there's this awareness, like there are definitely mountain lions around me. So it's not like the fear of the dark in that sense is, I don't know if is it gone? I don't know. Maybe. So, how did it start? I don't know. I mean, a lot of people could point to their fear of life. You hear this a lot. They'll point to their childhood trauma. How they were afraid of their parents, and then, everywhere they go, they're still afraid of their parents, even though their parents might not be around. They're just projecting their parents onto the world, onto God, onto life, right? So it could start there. And at a certain point, it doesn't really matter where it started in a deep sense. I mean, it might be nice to kind of get that awareness and to kind of see it for a little bit. Kind of have that insight. Maybe you have some particularly difficult traumas that caused a lot of fear in your body. And maybe you had traumas that you couldn't even see until you started doing some really deep healing work. And then you started having these memories of like, oh shit, when I was 3, when I was 4, when I was 10, whatever. And then if you do some really deep healing work, you might start uncovering traumas from past lives. You might start uncovering things that you brought into this life to heal through. And then if you keep healing, you might see that a lot of the fear you're carrying has just been passed down from your ancestors. And so you might notice you're doing some ancestral healing. So I don't know. I mean, it could come from all sorts of places, right? But I think the deal is here, as a light worker, We're here to clear fear. We're here to dissolve it, transmute it, whatever you want to say. And so wherever we want to say it originated from, it's here, and it's here to be released. And so, that, I don't know if that's fine. That's kind of something about how it started. And did it really go away after you said you essentially let it be? Yeah. Let's be real. Like, the panic attacks went away, and I did have this one day where there was a massive surrender and a massive allowing happened, and I just feel like my energy field blew wide open. Or maybe my energy field was always wide open. Oh my God, there are like 1,000,000 trillion bugs here. They're moving through. Or I might have, it's like either we could say it both ways. My energy field blew open to where I had the spaciousness for terror to move through more freely. Or I just got in touch with my energy field, which had always been wide open. And I somehow, through surrender and grace and suffering, let go of an identity that was keeping me kind of imprisoned, we could say, in the small self, in past, future, thought, etc. And that's still an ongoing process. I can still get kind of caught in the mind, in thought. But there is this sense, pretty much always, of being more of just like a cloud of energy, an energetic being. I feel almost always primarily an energetic being, more than I feel like some kind of personality or concept or man or whatever, or Matthew. I feel almost always, connected to, you could say, whatever, my energy field. I feel like an energy field now more than I feel like a person. It's more like there's a person within what I really am, rather than I'm just this person and that's all I am. So I don't know, I guess that was grace, I guess it was through immense suffering. And you can read my story. It was incredibly, incredibly, incredibly dark. And it was horror. It was just a horror story. Probably might be triggering to read it for some of you. So how I got there was really something. But yeah, that was for me the end of, I never had another panic attack since, there was that letting go. There was this sense of like, oh, I can allow this fear to move. I can stay relaxed even though something in the body is freaking out. And to this day, it's not like all the fear is out of my body just because I had that opening and my relationship with fear shifted in that kind of profound way. It's not like I'm done transmuting fear. I still have deep fear fear in the deep parts of my belly and my root chakra. Sometimes I'll find some fear in the heart, and so the work is still the same. It's just you go deeper and deeper. It's like when my energy field blew open, or however we want to talk about that. It's more like the more ethereal layers of my field started dissolving terror. But your awareness works deeper and deeper and deeper within your body. So eventually it's like you're clearing terror in your organs or something, in your bones, like all the way down in the cells. It gets to be a very physical process. You really start going down into dense stuff. Where at first it's, like I said, it's not quite as gross meaning dense. It's more, it's just, you're in more, we could say, refined layers of your energy fields. And then you work your way down into the unrefined. And some people may do it the other way, not to make this all confusing. So that was just my experience. And what was a catalyst for this kind of awakening, we could say, to being able to allow fear to move and to no longer resisting it as deeply, I was just really struggling one day, and I basically said the words, well, if I'm having this much terror, I want to learn all I can about it. I want to learn all I can about anxiety. Anxiety was my word for it in the past. And so I got on this site I would read about a lot, which was a huge catalyst to my awakening, which was calmdownmind.com. And he would talk about how anything that we fully allow, will come into balance over time. He would talk about how this energy, it just wants to be released. And instead of suppressing it, if we allow it and surrender to it, it can move, and it can... Here in Montana, it's changing seasons, so we're getting... all the bugs are coming out. Montana summers are amazing, but they're full of bugs. So yeah, they've been my co-contributors to this video. But anyways, his article would talk about how this energy is just stored up in our body because we've been afraid to feel it for so long. And that's why it feels so explosive. And why the panic attack will happen is because there's so much of it and it just wants to move. My former teacher, Craig Holliday, used to say it really perfectly, like, fear is just energy that wants to move. And he'd also say this is just light. And that's the truth. When you really get in touch with your fear, when you really stop resisting it, you'll start to notice it feels really good to let it move. It feels cathartic. It feels healing. It feels, it's like, I can almost feel my body doing something about it right now. My body is so used to moving fear through it. That's the thing. The body knows how to move the fear. It's just the mind has to get out of the way. The body knows how to do this awakening process. Feeling a little bit of chills there. And that's still the case for me today. The case for me today is the same as it was back then. Years ago, 7 years ago, when this all started really happening for me. It's the same. It's just more and more my mind getting out of the way. So that the body, so that the soul can take over more fully. And so the body's really, really intelligent. It knows how to transmute this energy. It's just our conditioned minds. We've been so conditioned that fear is bad, darkness is bad, grief, anger, all these emotions, they're bad and they should be repressed. Anxiety is not something that is, it's like we have this culture a lot like, here's how you get rid of anxiety. Here's how you change your thoughts so you don't have anxiety. But that's still a thought, trying to you're still trapped in thoughts when you're trying to control your thoughts is the point. You're not actually free. So the master move is to embrace the terror, to embrace the darkness in your body. And this will bring a natural harmony and a natural balance to your energetic system, to your energy field, to where you'll feel more calm and centered and relaxed. Even if there's a lot happening, even if there's a lot of transformation happening in your body, in your energy field, in your chakras. So it's just more and more about getting out of the way. Yeah, it's like so much of culture is like, these energies are just not desirable. We want these energies, and that's just like suppression and separation, and that actually causes a lot of suffering. And there's a lot of kind of paranoia in it, and it's all rooted in fear, like just trying to control your thoughts, and there's a lot of trying to avoid the present moment. At least that's how it feels to me. There's a lot of fear around thoughts too. People are afraid of their thoughts. And that's the only thing that is, like, your thoughts can't do anything really except for, if you're scared of them, I guess they could scare you, right? People give so much importance to their thoughts because they think they are their thoughts. They're so tethered into their thoughts. They made a whole identification and a whole world and a whole life based on their thoughts. So that's the other thing that is a process, is letting go of this whole belief that you are your thoughts, or that it's important to think certain things and not other things. I mean, thoughts don't really matter after a certain point as much, we could say. They're a lot lighter. They're more in the background. The thought space becomes much different. It becomes much more spacious. It becomes much more intuitive. Like, I'll have stuff come up into my field, and it might take the form of a thought, but not like it used to. Thoughts used to just be so, they used to have, and this can happen from time to time if I'm really going through something thick, but they used to have such like a magnetized, they used to be so believable and convincing, especially negative thoughts. Negative thoughts. But now they come up more as like, oh, my field might be just bringing through an intuitive knowing and whatever. They're more, it's more of an intuitive space now rather than like a constantly thinking space. So as you empty out of fear and you do this healing work, your field will become a lot more empty and spacious, and you'll have less thoughts, and there will be not much to worry about as much anymore. And problems won't exist in the same way as they once did. Because as a human, there will always be a problem, in a sense. So your whole relationship to life starts to shift once you start letting go of fear, and changing your relationship to fear. Because your relationship with your own inner self is going to be your relationship with the world, with your external, because it's actually all one. It's not different. It's not separate, you know? So if you have a lot of fear coming up, you're going to be seeing, the world's going to seem very scary because you're seeing the world through a lot of fear. If you have a lot of anger coming up, the world's going to probably make you very angry because you've got anger in your body, and that's okay. And the same is true if you have peace or joy coming through, you're going to see the world as a very peaceful and joyful place. So as you are, so is the world, to a large extent. Yeah, it's my first video in a minute, trying to flick the channel back on the conduit. I made a deal with myself. I was like, I'm just gonna talk, I'm not gonna judge it, and we're just gonna get rolling here. So yeah, I think I'll be making a lot of videos upcoming, here and on the Patreon platform, so feel free to hop on over there. Yeah, I don't know the structure quite yet of how many I'll be making where, but I don't know. I hope this helps. Feel like I could have spoke to this a little bit more deeply, but as I start making videos every day, I get in a roll, I get in a rhythm, I get in a flow, and then I can start really channeling, and then my insights go a bit deeper. But thanks for bearing with me and witnessing today's video. I hope it helps some. Yeah, and the last thing it says, I can't imagine falling down a cliff and it just being over after that. Yeah, a lot of this stuff goes beyond what you could imagine or know. When you surrender, you tend to go beyond what you could imagine or know life would be like. That's the gift of surrender, and that's why it's so scary to surrender, because we're surrendering to the unknown. We're surrendering to this reality where we're not afraid of our thoughts, where our thoughts can't blackmail us anymore. We're surrendering to this reality where we let fear flow through our body uninhibited. These are all things that go against conditioning and what kind of everyone else is doing in a sense. But I think more and more people are waking up. So you are surrendering to a new way of being, and so that can be scary. It can feel like you're falling. I heard a great teacher say, Muji, I believe, say, it's the truth, like you fall and you fall and you fall. But the great thing is you never hit the ground. You just keep falling, and that's what surrender feels like. It's very light. It can be light, and then you're gonna hit different layers at different stages on your path. But one thing I had to call the bluff with panic attacks was like, I don't care if I have a panic attack anymore. Like, if I have a panic attack, whatever. I'm not making that like a bad thing or the worst thing or something that I should feel shame about, because there's so much shame about like fear and anxiety, like, oh, it's a sign of weakness, it's whatever the things are. I can't even really remember. But I do know I used to have sort of this embarrassment of my anxiety and my fear. And once I started to embrace my anxiety and fear and no longer felt it was something to be embarrassed of, then the mind couldn't blackmail me with, oh, you're gonna have a panic attack. Because I'd be like, okay, I'll have a panic attack. Sometimes when I'm hosting groups and there's a lot of energy in the field, I can feel tons of energy, and it could feel like like just so much energy. And it actually took me back to when I was, like, if I'm ever in a group field and I'm holding space for a group, it can take me back to when I was first waking up. And that's what Kundalini felt like all the time. So I know it can be a huge experience for you guys. And so if you have to have a panic attack, just let it flow. Have a panic attack. Have 5, you know? It's okay. It's okay to have a panic attack. It's okay to let fear surge through your body. It's a beautiful thing to learn that you're safe when there's fear surging through your body. So many times when there's fear surging through our body, we don't feel like it's a safe thing to be happening. But I promise you, the more you open to it and the more you experience your fear directly, you will come into this deep recognition and truth that it's okay to be afraid, that you are perfectly safe to be as afraid as you want to be in any given moment. And it probably wasn't like that for you when you were young. But it's important to know you're in a different place now. You have more capacities now. Yeah, I hope that this was fun and helpful. I felt good to, I guess I'm making videos again. I never know how this goes. That's the thing about surrender. You give your life to the divine, and you just really go with the energetic patterning, and you surrender to that the best you can. For a while, it won't make sense to your mind because your mind has an agenda. Your mind wants to do this day. Your mind wants a this and a that, these guarantees. But yeah, true surrender is more like a living in spontaneity. More like living in one with the moment. Sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's not. But there's this communion, there's this oneness with what is. And that's kind of how the Buddha or any teacher will talk about. That's the end of suffering, just being one with what is. One with truth. One with your own heart. And then the world can have what they have about that, but it's like you and God are the majority. And you stay connected to that knowing. And then your life will become much more simple and clear, because it will only ever become about this moment. And this moment is such a beautiful guide. It's such a beautiful navigation device. It has everything you could ever need to know. Ever. It's so full of everything that you could ever need to know. You don't need to go outside of this moment for anything. This moment contains everything you need. And so the fear is the thing that, okay, battery's getting low, I do have to end it. The fear is the thing that starts bringing up all these thoughts in the mind that feels like it needs to take you to the future or to the past and all that. That's fear. But once you dissolve enough fear, then you can just be here fully. And you can just allow this moment to take you where it wants to take you and to support you. It's almost like you just feel like you're more floating on a river. And there is still preference, but the preference, if I want this and I don't want that, starts thinning out too. Because that can cause a lot of suffering, and like this whole thing of, I want more of this and I want less of this. That starts thinning out. And and it's just like a fullness will start to come into your life. Where all you ever really want is consciousness itself. You just want more and more consciousness, more and more of what you really are. And you're using the external world in a sense as one teacher said, like shadow boxing, as a way to help you learn, to help you take you deeper into your own self. You're using your relationships, connections, this and that, your struggles, your suffering, your challenges, whether that it could be health, whatever. Could be a money thing, I don't know. It's all perfectly crafted for you and how you need it to be to take you deeper into who you really are. And then you just start seeing, once you see the innate perfection of this whole dimension that we're in, this evolutionary dimension, it's hard to argue with life anymore, because you're like, oh, this is all so perfect. This is all so complete. It's only the parts of me that are kind of fragmented that want to argue with life. But once you, and then to see the ones that want to argue, it's like, yes, let them argue, let them fight, let them be angry. And you hold space for them and you love them and you bring them back into wholeness. And then there's less and less and less of you that wants to argue with life. And then every moment is everything you could ever want it to be. Is everything you were wanting it to get out of another, to get out of that experience, to get out of that accomplishment, to get out of wherever you're imagining you want to be, you know? That's not right now and right here. And that's liberation, that's freedom, because now you're not chasing anything anymore. Now you don't feel incomplete. Now just taking in whatever, just taking in what's here right now is a miraculous gift and a blessing, you know? It's just so simple. Everything gets so simple and so beautiful. Yeah, you just find your way back to your own heart. And, okay, that's the video. All right, I love you all so much. Namaste.